We are back for another episode of the Visibility Standard. I hope everyone enjoyed their long weekend, had some relaxation time. If you were in DC, I hope you're enjoying the silence now. I'm so excited for my episode today. I have my friend Caitlan Siegenthaler here. I recorded with her maybe when I first started this podcast, so a year and a half ago at this point, and continuing to watch her business evolve, the way she talks about visibility, the way she approaches it for helpers, creatives, healers, all the people she's supporting. I could not wait to have her on the show, and now I can't wait for you all to hear this episode. Would love to hear your thoughts on it. Be sure to leave a comment, send me a DM, follow the show so you don't miss an episode. I'm so excited for my guest today. She is no stranger to the podcast. I had her with me when I was in my All Our Parts era, and I'm so excited to bring my friend Caitlan back. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me back. It's always such a compliment to be back on a show, especially as much as your show has changed and evolved and love the new direction. So, thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And I'm so excited to chat with you. You have been evolving in your visibility journey, identifying what works, what doesn't. For those of you that are new to Caitlan, she is a licensed therapist in Virginia who is now blending IFS, blending business strategy into her work and taking some of her own pivots too.
Yeah, I am. I really am following my own human design and using parts work on myself. Like, I think I'm my own greatest experiment when it comes to the work that has been evolving for me. And I think there was a part of me, Jazz, that just got so, and maybe you feel this way in your visibility work too, so frustrated because I know so many cool people, really skilled therapists or healers or coaches that were just not getting the visibility, but like doing such incredible work. And I think parts of me also felt that way about my work. Not that I was like, oh my gosh, my work was so incredible, but I think there's so many people with integrity and with beautiful intention that are doing amazing work, but are so focused on that work, it's like happening behind closed doors. And I'm like,
Mm.
wait a second, I want people to know about you and about you and about you and about you.
Mhm.
And that was sort of the last component for me in my pivot of I need to be working with entrepreneurs to help them get their work and services out into the world. So,
Absolutely. I know we just talked offline just about where both of our social media journeys are right now. And I told you I'm not in a direct selling mood. And so part of my visibility journey right now is like, okay, what am I? Who am I when I'm not a therapist, when I'm not
mhm.
a podcast host? Like, what is the value and feeling confident in just showing up and creating without needing to sell or having a direct call to action. It's been a lot harder than I expected it to be, but it's
Really?
been a lot of fun. Yeah.
Well, harder in what way?
Therapist so specific. So that's like such a specific title and just like the information that I'm like offering. Like I'm not hiding behind like this title or hiding behind
Oh,
like this offer, but just like, oh no, like I'm creating, I'm sharing my opinions, I'm sharing my thoughts without
yes.
backing it with science. Like I'm just sharing how I'm experiencing the world. And it's just so different.
Yeah, I love that you're saying this because I just wrote a piece on Substack about like everything I had to unlearn, you know, from graduate school. And I went to graduate school over a decade ago. And so I don't know what they are teaching these days, but it was very much be a blank slate for your clients. Don't even have anything that would suggest your political views or even whether or not you were in a relationship, which just sort of like blew my mind because it's like, they're like, that could be triggering for your clients. And so, unlearning that in order to run a sustainable, creative business, because we are still human beings and we
Mhm.
do still have opinions. And I love watching your work because I think your, I don't know how your education was in regards to that, but it is like we do need to put kind of a flag in the sand and we do get to share our opinions, say those things. And I think clients also want that, especially these days. Like I can't remember where I was, but the person essentially said, I need to know what your political leanings are.
Mm.
And they were talking about working with a therapist. I was in like a social setting, but they needed to know that because they wanted to understand, are you going to support me in the ways I need? And not to
Right.
create an echo chamber, but more so, it might even be unsafe for that person
Hmm.
if the political like views didn't align.
Hmm. What has been the biggest hurdle you've been overcoming in your visibility journey?
That's such a good question. I think every season brings a different hurdle. So, my business is turning 6 years old next month. And I would say in the beginning of my business, the biggest hurdle was just feeling comfortable, like even being visible. Do you know what I'm saying when I say
Yeah.
that? Like, I remember I used to do this like mantra before I would even show up on Instagram. And this was 2020. So it was like slightly different back then. But um sounds like I'm talking about way back when we used to
Back
walk
in my
uphill
day.
all the way back to 6 years ago. So in that season, the biggest struggle for me was just being visible and like feeling terrified of that. And then I worked with those parts and moved through that. And now I think my biggest struggle is like making sure that I'm not forcing myself to be visible for the sake of being visible because that's what
Mm.
everyone else, quote unquote, does to run a business. And I use human design. So I'm a projector, which is a different level of energy type than you have, right? As a generator. And so I'm trying to make sure that I'm just like not doing it from a place of forcing, that every time I show up to share something, it's coming from that place of I want to do this. Like the
Mm.
piece I just wrote for Substack, that came from a like, I need this to live in the world, if only for me and the one other person, which I already got an incredible text from someone was like, this was so helpful. And I was thinking about that person today, and it's like, I'm showing up for me and for them. And anyone else that benefits, amazing. Like, not specifically them, like that
Mhm.
one person that benefits. So, my challenge right now is to ensure that I'm not just contributing things to contribute, to be quote
Mhm.
unquote consistent, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What were some signs or feelings you got when you felt like you were creating for the sake of creating and being consistent?
One great question, by the way. One sign for me is always like energetically, it sort of feels like a rushing, like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get the thing. Okay, I'm gonna da 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 da. I'm gonna like write this script for the podcast. Okay, I'm gonna think about it. Okay, now I need to publish it. Like there was kind of like a rushing and a rigidity to it
Mm.
that it's like, well, who are you doing that for, Caitlin? As I'm pretty sure everyone's gonna be okay if you don't rush through this just to get it up. And so, really helping my parts and my system reverse that and slow down and let thought pieces and things that I want to be visible for sort of simmer and just kind of standing in that. It reminds me of in therapy when we just don't fill the space with our
Mm-hmm.
client and we just let the space and the silence kind of linger. And then usually the client keeps talking and then we get to something juicy. It's like I'm teaching my system to not always fill the space every single week and da 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 da. Now, there's a flip side of that, which is okay, then we're never consistent, so we're never going to show up, and then we just take our hands off the wheel. And what I'm trying to find is like this level of being visible that's still in alignment for me, but isn't forcing. And so
Mm-hmm.
if my natural cadence at this very moment in time with what's happening in my life happens to be once a month, then that's what it happens to be. And if in a few weeks that cadence changes, great. And actually, I think that's like more natural
Mm-hmm.
for some folks and like for me in particular. So that's how I notice it. It's like, what's the energy in my body doing? And then that's also how I combat is not the right word, but quell it, or work with
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
It sounds like there was a feeling of urgency that the overlord algorithm was bringing. And a lot of us can resonate with that feeling of, okay, we need to feed the algorithm. We need to be consistent. We need to show up. We need to say something. We need to maintain that visibility. And it's just like this constant hamster wheel. And that
Yeah.
doesn't work for everybody. So allowing yourself that space to reflect, to take a step back, and to show up in the way that feels meaningful for you and to not judge yourself, which I
Yeah.
imagine that was its own journey too, to not judge yourself for scaling back. I feel like a lot of people can resonate with that.
Yeah. And for me, even when I'm talking about being visible, it's mostly like through my Substack and podcast. I'm just visible on stories, but I don't post like anything to my feed. But still, like, I appreciate what you're saying too, because it's like, I think that's another really amazing question is like, why am I posting this and like, who is it for? And if it's for the algorithm, that's like already the wrong reason. And
Hmm.
I really like to think about, especially my creative visibility work, when I'm creating something, a lot of times it's me to me, or it's me to like younger me, or it's me to that one person that I know might benefit from hearing what I'm teaching, what I'm sharing, the guest I have on my podcast. And to me, that's great. That's enough. And I'm really leaning into my human design, which is all about I'm a four line, so utilizing relationships as a way for people to find me and trusting in that. And then knowing that. And that's what I'm experimenting with right now and feeling less beholden to some sort of algorithm
Hmm.
thing because I tried that way from like 2020 to like through like mid 2022 into 2023, and then I got pregnant and I was just like I don't have the energy to sustain this. But I also experimented with the other way and that way didn't work for me, but I know that it works for other people as well. And so my thing is just find what energetically works for you rather than like copying and pasting someone's idea of consistency. Like what your idea of consistency and visibility might be totally different than mine. And that might also differ during seasons, and just being compassionate about it and being like, cool, that makes sense. That's okay, I think is what's helpful for sure.
Definitely. I love that you're speaking to like the seasons of everything. And there is the expectation and sometimes the perception that we can constantly churn out content, create, be visible, and show up. And that's just not realistic. That's not sustainable. And nobody has to function that way. I think when we allow ourselves the space to do more or to scale back and give ourselves the permission to just meet ourselves where we're at, that's when we are able to create from that sustainable place and that place that's excited to create and not just, "Ugh, got to get this post out, got to get this up, and then moving on with it."
Yeah. And could I pretend like, oh, I've never done that and I will never do that again? Like, duh, I'm still a human. Of course, there are going to be times where I still feel that external pressure. But I love what you're saying. Like, I like to think about nature in this example.
Mm.
Like trees don't blossom 12 months out of the year in most places. And there's a reason for that, but it doesn't mean that they're dead or that they're not generating energy. Like they're very much
Mhm.
rooted into the ground. They're still in contact with one another. There's all those amazing like neural or like root networks or whatever. And I think about it like that. Like, woo, maybe there are times when I want to just like really blossom and bloom. There are other times when I want to just let everything go. There are times when I want to be quiet and silent. And I'm like heading into that right now. And like trees really trust that those leaves are coming back to blossom. And I think we can really take a lesson from that as well. Like, you will have your blossoming season again and being visible
Mhm.
again. And for some folks, that may happen much more quickly than other people too. Like, it doesn't mean you have to follow like the tree month thing. So I love to look to nature for examples of how those cycles like work and function so well.
Oh. You've been in the socials and just the visibility space since 2020. You've been experimenting on Threads, Instagram. Now you're on Substack since we last recorded together. What is your favorite platform right now and why?
My favorite platform is currently in no particular order, actually in a very particular order. Scratch in the most particular order. My favorite platform is my podcast because it's content that I own, that I fully control, that I
Mhm.
whoever is subscribed to it gets it. I love long form content. I'm a chatty gal, in case you can't tell. So I love like being able to share all of that stuff. I have a defined throat center in human design. Like baby was born to podcast, okay? So I love podcast content. And then that gets repurposed and shared on Substack. I thought I was going to say that Substack is my next favorite place, but to be honest, I post and ghost on Substack. Like the people that are there in my community in Return Plus know me from somewhere else.
Mm.
I haven't tried to intentionally build a community there. And it's not because I don't believe in Substack as a platform. I do think it's really fantastic and I love using it and I'm not going anywhere. I just haven't had the time to put resource behind that because all of the resource goes into my podcast. And then in terms of like quick relational connections, I love threads because I think the visibility opportunity on threads is really great. I love that it's just words. I love responding to people on threads. Like people, I don't know how you feel about threads, but I just feel like I could get an answer to any question I might need like reasonably quickly with like people I more or less trust on the internet, which
Mhm.
is kind of strange. And then I love stories because there is a visual component to some of the things. Like my son had a fever earlier this week, and I just posted a picture. I never post his face, but I posted a picture of us on the couch, kind of like snuggling, and I had a heart over his face. And so many people responded to that, just like human connection, right?
Mhm.
So I guess I like going to different places for different things and for different purposes, but I'm always really mindful about the reason I'm going to the place. If I'm going to Instagram, I'm going there for stories or to interact with other people's stories, to DM with people. If I'm going to threads, I'm like going to share a thought or an idea or respond to other people's thoughts or ideas. And I like operating in that way. So I hope I answered your question.
You did. It sounds like there's a lot of intention behind how you
Yeah.
choose to show up and how you choose to not only consume, but also engage. Like, what is the purpose of logging onto Instagram right now? It is to share in stories, connect, and build those relationships in a more visual way. Threads is like communication, words, and then through podcasting and Substack, it allows you to share more long form, in depth thought that doesn't necessarily require the back and forth, or there's no like back and forth expected, unlike Instagram or threads, where there is more of a relational, like communication component to it.
Yeah, which part of me really likes, especially being a projector in human design, is it's so nice to just like, loop, here you go. Enjoy it, worlds. Let me know. I do wish there was a way to make podcasts like slightly more interactive, but for now, I'm also energetically okay with it. What are your favorite platforms right now?
It has really shifted. So
Oh,
I'm really enjoying TikTok right now.
I've heard
Like,
good things about
I
TikTok. I don't have
love
the
it.
energy for the talk, but I've heard great things.
I'm having so much fun over there right now. Podcasts would be like equal, if not
Yeah.
number two. Instagram's number three. Substack's number four. I haven't been enjoying threads lately. I think part of it is I'm trying to rebuild my algorithm a little bit. It's not that it feels like an echo chamber, but there is just so much noise on
Yeah.
threads. There is so many thoughts and ideas and opinions and things, and where I am right now and like my creation process is like I'm trying to consume the least as possible. And so whenever I get on threads, I just feel, oh, like I just saw, and then I just want to get off.
You're like, okay, bye. This was
Okay,
fun.
bye.
See ya. See you later. Yeah, it's true. Maybe I should bring TikTok back, but I'm just scared I will like love it and then I'll get sucked into the videos. I mean, I have Opal on my phone too, so I'm like locked out of apps pretty much all the time during the day. And then if I need to or want to go on there to post something, I have to unlock it, which is really nice because it makes me think about like, okay, why am I going on this platform in the first place? But I hear that. I think I've heard people say that about threads. I must have a really fun algorithm going over there or something, or who knows. But this is what I think is so great is like people are going to have different things that resonate for them differently depending on the season. And
Mhm.
just acknowledging that and being like, cool, like, that's great. And this is what works. And as long as it's feeling really good to your energy, I think that's the whole point.
Yeah. I think part of threads too is I tend to overthink in word content. And so I don't feel like I translate well versus like video, audio. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's pop this up here. We're going to get full engagement, or we're going to get full, like, whatever Jasmine I'm feeling. And I don't need to perform it or package it in a very specific way with short form, like so, like with threads and even Twitter, like, I feel like I'm thinking too much about what am I trying to say? How am I trying to
Yes.
say it? Oh, they came off really bitchy. I've got to delete it. Oh, that wasn't that funny. Now I've got to delete it. It's tough.
I love that because like I've definitely put some whoppers out on threads that I'm like I think they're so funny in my head and then I'll like post it and it's crickets or then I'll go back the next day and I'll be like, "Damn, I thought that was gonna like slap." And it's like nobody did anything with it. I'm like this must be how it feels to bomb as a comedian. So
Oh
But
my God.
I think that there's a part of me that like low key wants to be a comedian, but I'm like, not really sure how I go on that journey. Not like a full-time thing, but just I think it would be fun. In the artist way, there's like this exercise where you basically journal about or imagine other lives. And one of mine is always as a comedian. So that's all I wanted to say. And then I get feedback from threads and I'm like, ooh, girl, maybe not.
Stick to the day job. But speaking of other lives, you've been dabbling in some line dancing.
I have. Yeah. That was a real plot twist for me, honestly. I don't know. I think my friend like talked me into going and then I just found some joy in it. But I don't know if I like love country music, but I love line dancing, which is an oxymoron, I guess, but like here we are. And I have probably the most eclectic taste in music, although maybe a lot of people say that, but it is real. Like if you guys got into my Spotify, it's real weird in there, just all over the map, genre wise. So, yes, I've been doing that. I'd love to get my hands on some pottery. I just started crocheting.
Ooh, what are you making?
I'm trying to make a granny blanket with the squares.
Hmm.
So that's my next project, but I don't know if you've ever tried to crochet, Jazz. Have you ever tried?
No.
It's real complex with the fingers and the like loop it, swoop it. I had to watch this woman's video. Normally I listen to podcasts and videos on like at least 1.25, 1.5, usually
Okay.
1.75. I like a speedy combo, but I had to because I was watching this video on YouTube of how they do it. I had to watch it on 0.25. So literally so slow. And then I had to watch them like, and then make the slip knot. And then again, and then I had to be like, okay, her finger is hanging over this thing. Okay. And it really activated parts of me that like to be good at things like immediately.
Mm,
So it was good. But I'm trying to take care and cultivate my creative parts and like my creativity. And I'm trying to take it like serious is not the right word, but I'm trying to give it as much priority as I give work
hmm.
stuff. And some days that goes better than others, but yeah, so that's where all of that stuff
Yeah,
is
we're
coming in.
people. I think a lot of us are starting to invest in our hobbies and treat our hobbies of equal value to our work. The world is on fire.
What
Things are
is?
happening all the time.
Oh yeah.
And so, in a resistance, nervous system regulation, maintaining sanity, supporting other people kind of way, we're like, oh, wow, these things, these hobbies that we enjoy are going to sustain us long term and allow us to engage more thoughtfully in the work that we're doing and the world that we're creating.
Yeah, 1,000%. It just also feeds my soul and it helps me remember not that life isn't serious, but also we can make it cute. We can make it fun.
Hmm.
We can make it, you know, there's like other things to be unearthed or uncovered in there. And I have parts that get like so focused and I don't know how you feel, but I love my work. Like it does not
Hmm.
really feel like work. And I love it so much. I love every stage. I love as it evolves. And I really, really mean that. This is 0% bullshit. And that's still work. Like it really is.
Hmm.
I gotta remind my parts like it's still work. And that's not the only reason I was put on this planet, you know?
I was just thinking how, like, one of the initial things both of us connected on was that we both really value work, being able to invest and create and build in our achieving parts, like, really celebrate having this project, this work life being that we get to cultivate and nurture. and it's still work. And our value is not based on what we can produce, what we do for work. Our value is based in existing. And if I'm understanding what you're saying, is like you're allowing yourself to explore and understand I am whole, whether I'm investing in my work right now or if I'm learning how to crochet. Those are both equally valuable and equally important, and they don't change anything about me.
That's right. And I'm trying to embody that by making my calendar reflective of that same priority.
Yeah, that's the kicker right there. Yeah.
Isn't it? Because it's like, well, I can know. And for
Hmm.
so long, I'm like, oh, I know creativity. I love creativity. I'm creative. I write. And it's like, yeah, but how much time was I allotting those parts to just like play and what's that word? Like, dabble is not the right word. Like, kind of dawdle, just
Dilly
like
dally.
dilly dally, all the D words, meander. And I'm realizing, like, oh, this is,
Hmm.
but I need to schedule it because I have limited space as we all do as human beings. So I do schedule it, which is unsexy, but it gets the job done.
And that shows like you want to prioritize it. Like
Yeah.
I've also been in this space of wanting to prioritize play and fun. So much so, I got my partner and I season passes to King's Dominion.
Oh my
And
God,
I like haven't
amazing.
been in like years, but I had this, I was like, I want to go to King's Dominion. I want to have fun, go to an amusement park, like just walk around. I think especially living in DC right now, I think
Hmm,
I want somewhere else to walk around. And I can
totally
walk around King's
understand.
Dominion and get Dippin' Dots. That was a big push for me, actually, because I love Dippin' Dots.
I mean, you and my child as well. We were at the zoo the other day and he was like, "Mommy, what that?" And I was like, "Oh, that's like little dot ice cream." Oh, and then he said his name and he pointed to himself like, "Me? I want some. Me?" And I was like, "No, sorry, we're not gonna have ice cream at 10:30 in the morning right now." And he was like, "So little." He was talking about the dots. So little. I'm like, yeah, they are so little. They've been the ice cream of the future for 30 years now. So good for Dippin' Dots.
Nobody has managed to emulate or really replace them, but I love a good Dippin'. I mean, you can't find it everywhere. So I was like, if I'm having a bad day this summer, just go to King's Dominion.
Love it. I love that. Also, Dippin' Dots, like what a sensory experience too. Those little dots. So what else are you doing then for creativity? I love that.
I am doing a lot of baking right now.
Oh
I've been
yes, I
sharing
love
that
your baking stuff.
on the stories, a lot of cooking, a lot of reading now too, which
Yes.
I've loved getting back into reading.
Wait, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
I This is my new curiosity. Okay, so I recently got two books from the library, and both of them were not great. Previous Caitlin would have committed and finished the books anyways. Now I was like, screw that, no thank you, and I returned them. Are you team plow through, or are you team take it back?
Oh, I'm taking it back. I'm
Okay.
finishing that book. It's closed.
I'm like, am I the only person that just inflicted self-suffering for a while just to like, I always had this part that was like, but what if it gets better? And I
Mm,
feel like that tells you a lot about me. What if it gets better? And then I said to that part this time, it's not going to get better. This book is very bad. So,
yes, letting yourself let it go. With
yeah.
TV shows, sometimes I will do it prematurely. So I will watch 30 minutes of one episode and then I'm like, oh, this was a terrible show. Take it out of my row. I'm not watching it anymore. And then I'll come back to it, sometimes unknowingly, like a year later. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I just needed to give it more time. And so I'm like,
Yeah.
that's like its own lesson for me sometimes. Like, you just got to give it
Oh.
some time, some space, let it run its course. But with books, because I think it may be the English part, the English major in me. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm either in it or I'm not. Like,
Yeah.
I want to tear apart all the literary devices and the simile and the bigger meaning of the book. So then I really struggle. What are you reading right now?
I'm reading Atmosphere. I think that's what it's called by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I just got that one at the library because well, I won't tell your whole podcast, this whole story. We can forget about that. But I do have a Goodreads account. Are you on Goodreads?
I am.
Okay, we'll follow each other on there. And then you can see all the whole drama. But work-wise, I always am doing like a fun book and then a workbook or like a learning book. And this, I think your listeners will love this book. It's called The Power of One. Oh, sorry, Company of One. Wow. Not The Power of One. Company of One by Paul Jarvis. It's really cool. It's about like why growth isn't always the right move business wise.
Mm,
And it's been so good for my parts and like my brain and kind of a lot of what we've talked about during this conversation of being intentional, being like in tune with yourself about what you need, almost being intuitive about it, and then almost questioning, do we really need to grow in whatever XYZ way? Or
mm-hmm.
can we like leverage what we've got? And I think that's such an important question. So
Oh, I like that. I'm gonna have to look into that. I did like the power of one too, though. You create it.
I feel like I was merging like The Power of Now by who's that? Eckhart Tolle. Yeah, I have that book.
Okay.
And this A Company of One. Oh my God, this poor guy, Paul Jarvis. I'm never gonna get your book. Yeah, Company of One by Paul Jarvis. So I'm always doing like a double decker situation where there's like something for learning and something for just shutting my brain down. And I can't do the learning one before I go to sleep because then my brain doesn't shut off.
Yes.
You know, it has to be the not learning. So I just
Mm-hmm.
started Atmosphere. I do like Taylor Jenkins Reid's. I really liked The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I read it forever and a day ago, but so we'll see. I've heard mixed reviews though about this new about Atmosphere. So
Okay. Keep me
yeah,
posted.
I will. I'm thinking about your human design and as that relates to visibility
Well, we'll talk about it.
on my
Uh,
podcast.
yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a fun teaser.
We'll talk about it. Yeah, it's been like a journey for sure, but I'm excited to get into it. And right now I'm reading for fun the Unabridged Journals of Sylvia Plath. That's my fun read
Are they
before bed.
good? Is it good? Are they? I'm assuming it's just a singular book.
It's a singular book of all of Sylvia Plath's journals, writing entries, and her mind is just, I mean, she's such a beautiful writer. It's hard to not love it.
Yeah, I bet. She's so dope.
Yeah. But yeah, I think like the biggest lesson in visibility for me is like what I respond to. Again, especially in this very
Yeah.
noisy world, what gets to elicit a reaction from me, I'm had to really, especially as I like expand from talking about specific, like therapy specific or podcast specific, allowing myself to create more openly. I have to be really thoughtful about what I respond to.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. What's something that you were like, ooh, maybe no, and
I
responded
think
to it?
politics is one that I go back and forth
Oh,
on.
yeah.
What feels resonant to speak up and out on as a Black woman, as a queer woman, as a therapist,
Yep.
as all of these identities, like it feels inauthentic to bury my head in the sand on my content
Totally.
because that's not what my real life looks like. And it can elicit so many react like so much from me, and it can take away from my creativity. So I really have to be thoughtful about like how I want to deliver
Mm.
what I'm saying, what I'm responding to. Politics has been a big one for me that I've had to really, really do some work around.
That makes a lot of sense though, because I feel like some of what the internet doesn't allow for, at least in short form content, is nuance. And I feel like that's what you're saying is like
Hmm.
there has to be some nuance to some of your responses when you are using your generator strategy to respond of like, yeah, I see this, I experience this, but like also, XYZ thing
Hmm.
because we are complex as human beings. And I feel like that, especially in today's political climate, that nuance gets lost, missed.
Hmm.
So I can just appreciate, like, yeah, trying to strike that balance, especially if you
Yeah.
are doing it in a more short form way, which is like very much a lot of being visible is for sure short form content. And people are consuming that much more
Yeah.
quick.
I remember like I'm thinking about when we recorded together last year,
Yeah.
and like in January I was like I don't feel the need to talk about it. I didn't want to. I actually really didn't want it to be a part of my content. And time continues to go on and things continue to just go off the railings, and I'm like, well, it is incongruent. It's not realistic to say that I'm here creating in this world in this bubble and I'm not aware of what's happening around me. Like that does not offer an authentic representation of where I see this page or this content. And so I think it goes right back to what we talked about in the beginning, is allowing ourselves to pivot and to see, to build what we want to intentionally and thoughtfully and go from there.
Yeah, that makes so much sense around. I've been feeling that too on a bunch of levels, like for sure politically, but also personally. Like I have something that I shared with you about what's going on with me personally right now. And it's like it feels inauthentic to just totally ignore it, but I'm really tapping into like the relationship and the necessity of the information that I share and like how much of it and sometimes it really is like just naming it and letting it
Hmm.
be there, but still doing that. And I think it's so hard because, especially with what's happened so much politically right now, people are like, well, silence is your violent. Like, there's lots of
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
yelling, and it's like, well, okay, everybody just
Yeah.
take a beat. That might not be what's happening. That's why I say the thing about nuance, but it is important. Like, even if we just have to name this piece and then that's all we want to share, I think we can
Hmm.
respect that. I also don't love bullying people into visibility that sometimes happens. How do
Hmm.
you feel about that?
That's tough. I personally like forcing someone to speak up on something is never my vibe. I think that
Yeah,
people don't speak up on things for a number of reasons, and they get to
totally.
have that grace and feedback. I think it goes back to like, what do you as the audience member want from that creator? So if you're looking for like co-regulation, if you're looking for shared
Mm,
values, if you're looking for a safety blanket in that creator, like then your expectations of them are going to be based on the standard you're holding them to.
ooh,
And so, especially like as I start sharing more, creating more personally from a personal place, it's like you share from the scab, not the wound. And so,
totally.
like, I had like a really big event in my life last year. And so I would say in the last 6 months, I've been able to talk about grief a little more, been able to talk about what that's like to have an identity shift and been able to process that publicly, it all gets to change and it all gets to fluctuate. And so, just as much as what I'm thinking about how I want the audience to receive me, I'm thinking about, okay, why am I putting this out here? I imagine if
Yes.
I was talking about grief and shifts last year, like I would be looking for support or consoling. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but creating from that place wouldn't be sustainable for me. Versus now, I'm able to talk about grief as something I'm living with and navigating, and you're journeying with me
Hmm.
versus this thing that I'm trying to figure out how to process.
Makes so much sense. It's like they're coming along with you rather than being involved in you processing it.
Hmm.
So interesting. I wish everyone was as intentional. The internet might be a much more lovely, co-regulated place, but that's okay. Everybody's just
It's
doing their
okay.
best, you know?
We're all hanging in there, but I'm glad we got to talk today.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me back. I'm really grateful for our connection, and yeah, always a pleasure to be here. So thank you.
Of course.